12th win, and we were watching the game, and G2 is horrible on Inferno. I don't know why they want to play that map. I don't know why they think they're good on it, but to me it looked like a mess for both teams, basically. That was just MIBR being better than bad in that regard.
Oh, and that's the game where coldzera was winning rounds with deagles, and
he had to win. He had to win deagle clutches. He had to go off. Was it 32 frags or something? 2v4s. So many rounds that should have gone G2's way, and G2 were not playing well either. So it's to me, we haven't seen anything from MIBR that suggests that they're good Inferno team.
But we haven't focused enough on the Swedes. Now, of course, with that covered, we've definitely got the MIBR scene set. On the other side of things, NIP, this is the team that, you know, they've missed majors in the past. Challenger stage, that was the dialogue we had, was, you know, can they actually get to the legend stage? Will they have to go through the minor brawl again? Not the case. They've done this, they've got the wins, but now, what is their ceiling? What would you be your answer to that?
It's such a hard question because we've seen so many different versions of them throughout these 2 weeks. They've evolved. Honestly, they have, but I don't know. I have yet to really see them show up on a map like Inferno ever, honestly, as I watch Ninjas in Pajamas play. It doesn't really suit them as far as how the utility and teamwork plays out on the map. So I don't know. Obviously, they're great on Train. They're great on Mirage. We keep seeing them play these maps, and they're fantastic on them.
The one thing they have going for them right now is Forest being so consistently good playing. He was doing it through the first stage of the major, being one of the highest rated players. He's doing it now, being NIP's best player together with Res. If he can keep that consistent level that high, NIP have a chance of matching the level of coldzera in terms of individual skill, and that is a win condition for them. Otherwise, if Forest slows down or if Res is not having a good game, I just simply see them fall apart and play to the same level we saw during the first stage of the major.
And the brute force of MIBR becomes clear. You need Res, you need Forest to just quash and control.
You need resistance to stand up against players like Fur, Phelps, Fallen, and coldzera. It's such an aggressive trio or quadruple of players that can go in against you.
Yeah, and of course we're going to be keeping our eyes on that gameplay when it does commence. First, though, we speak of Rez. He has been having some exceptional games, and the highly praised young up-and-coming Swede is ready to give us a quick interview. Let's check in with that. Yeah, I'll ask Chad a little bit later, but what I do want to do is actually just start to draw attention on how this series is going to be playing out, Sean. So I'm scrolling up, and the reason I'm scrolling up is because I actually wanted to remind myself of the maps. Thank you, HLTV, for saving my life sometimes. Train, Inferno, and that third one, Mirage. So let's focus on Train. That's our first map, that's our first kick-off of what could be an incredible series. I'm crossing my fingers for it. Best of the day, do you reckon, Jacob?
Could be.
Think so.
Yeah? Okay, Sean's more likely, more expecting of that, but Train. This is going to be my first question. Is Fallen going to be... is he known for being a Train player?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and say
Finally, someone said it.
This is the map where Fallen comes back. He always has monster CT Train halves, and he did last major. I think he's going to have it again. They're going to start on CT because this is NIP's pick. So this is one of those maps where if NIP comes flat into this game, MIBR is going to go off to a massive lead, and they're not going to be able to recover from it.
MIBR and Train has a lot of history to it, right? They were the team having, I think it was 18 games won in a row with FNX back when he was on the lineup. Yep. They switched in Phelps, this current lineup of SK back in the days, now MIBR, and they went on to be shit on Train, to be completely honest with you. So, have they fixed those problems? Is Phelps going to be good enough to play that aggressive pop dog role, or is he going to be somewhere else in the map? That's what I'm looking forward to see, because again, MIBR to me is a big question mark right now. We have not seen enough from them, and we're definitely not seeing them consistently perform to the level we expect them to, or even the level the other teams that rank them into this tournament expects them to be at.
So NIP, I mean, picking Train into a team that have had dominant runs on it before have had dominant runs on it, is definitely a testament to how confident they are in that. Forest, of course, in that head-to-head, and a conversation definitely necessary surrounding him. You may be bored of it, I certainly am not, and neither is he. The fact that he's still thriving in a game he's played for well over a decade. Gents, Sean, you're the same age as Forest, you were telling me the other day. Do you think you'd be able to play this game at this kind of level for that many years?
Alex, I got by based on calling strategies. I can't do what Forrest does. He's a different beast. I have no idea how he's done it.
But he can't do what you do.
He's not slowed down at all.
I just want to remind you, he can't do what you do. He's been asked to win game lead in the past. That's
you
not
two
his
are
jam.
sweet together, man.
No, I just want to build him up because he's breaking himself down here. You know, it's interesting seeing someone undermine themselves. I've never really seen that process before. Don't know what the hand gesture was really about. Guys, last 60 seconds. Let's have some fun with this. Game show time. I want 3 win conditions. You are MIBR.
Okay.
And you, on the end there, are NIP. We'll start with you, Jacob.
Fallen coming back to life, coming back with the AVP, being really assertive with it, being aggressive, creating a lot of space for the likes of Phelps and Fur to be aggressive.
Okay.
That's a win condition. Obviously, Cold Zero. Win condition, simple as it is. And then NIP not playing up to their best, having rest and Forest just going off.
NIP
out of their hands.
Underperforming is a win condition for MIBR. That's a statement.
MIBR is not good enough right now.
We'll have to see. And then, of course, on the other end there for the Sweets.
I think they got to keep Taco to a bad game at inner, first of all. He's starting that step off at inner. NIP loves going inner.
Bully him.
Need to bully Taco quite a lot this game. 2, Forrest needs to have a phenomenal game. He's been doing so well for them this entire event. Same with Rez. I think Forrest is probably the standout player. 3, I think they need to walk away from this T-half with at least 5 rounds. Okay. I don't think they're going to do it, though.
At the very least, yeah.
5 T rounds, and that's a tall order?
Yeah, I would say so. I think MIBR is going to either show us a glimpse of what we can expect them to be in the playoff if they get there. A team that has a high peak level, a team that can go take on an Astralis, take on a Liquid, take on a Navi and actually put up a fight, or they're going to fall flat and we're going to see an MIBR that just have to scramble through the playoff.
Will they get to the playoffs? I mean, MIBR, it's a star-studded roster. If you have just joined us and you're unfamiliar with the MIBR boys, I need to remind you that this is a legendary roster. Coldzera, Fallen, the list goes on. Fur and Phelps, will they gel? We have our win conditions from our analysts, and I think, from the sound of things, we're almost ready to get this game underway. Pitta behind them, of course, coaches, a conversation to be had, and Zeus is back behind them. That is one to remember as well for MIBR. They have the coach that was with them through the countless trophy lift on their rise to power. NIP Peter as well. It's kind of interesting, some parallels to be drawn between the two rosters. The fact that Peter was in and out of the NIP jersey. He shook it about a bit as well. Elecro, in-game leader, about to be tested by the Brazilian chess master himself. Grandmaster Fallen versus Lecro, very new to the in-game leadership role. I think we're going to go ahead and leave it with your casters, though, as we're going to be getting into this one. MIBR, of course, joining us as well. Jason, Vince, why don't you join this conversation?
Thanks, brother. It's going to be good. MIBR, NIP, a spot in the playoffs. Some of the most legendary players in the history of Global Offensive and even the Counter-Strike franchise altogether gracing the server for us. It's going to start on Train, Vince, and this can get spicy. This can get spicy real quick.
It certainly can, especially with so much on the line for both teams. We just saw a Train that was a little lackadaisical, a bit slow at times.
Let's forget that whatever happened.
I think this is going to be a bit sped up, though.
Yeah.
I expect more fireworks from this best of 3. I think if we look at the previous game as the appetizer, the starter, this is the main course.
It certainly is. And I mean, especially the Death touched on it, the level that Force has been at in this event so far has been incredible, has been stellar. Get Right's even stepped up, which has been great. I mean, that's a great storyline in and of itself. NIP, they've had a tough time in the majors since their, I guess, fall from the top. It was a long fall, and it's been a long way back, and then finally they're starting to get some of that redemption going, which has been so much fun to watch through the various stages of this major so far. This is going to be a tough test. It's a reunion tour of MIBR, as the desk also mentioned. Zeus, you can see there on your screen, standing behind the team of coach that won their first and only majors with them back in 2016, MLG Columbus and ESL 1 Cologne that year. And obviously coming in with Phelps coming back into this squad. I mean, this is the MIBR we saw earlier in this stage was not that great, but you have to imagine, like most teams, they're going to build into it.
Yeah, and they did also say they felt a bit tentative, a bit shaky, a little bit nervous going into that first match that we casted, and I believe that was a 16-3 loss on Inferno.
To Cloud9, yes.
Yeah, to Cloud9, and they did look shocking in that game, but then they beat G2 later on, so maybe they are starting to warm up.
They seemed very tentative and scared in that matchup as well. It's similar to what we talked about with Avangard previously. That was on Inferno, which we'll see in this series as well. It was the pick of MIBR. Will be coming up after Train. You can see here, head-to-head of these two players, coldzera, two-time #1 player in the world, 2 years in a row. Forrest as well has just been spectacular, as we mentioned. He's playing like one of the best players in the world again.
Yeah, those stats don't lie. Not too different to Forrest, though. Obviously, Forrest has played a lot more games coming through.
Yeah, the Challenger stage.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the point to bring up, because, I mean, as I said with MIBR, hopefully they're building into this event. NIP looked a little bit shaky at the start as well. I mean, they were playing for their life back at the Challenger stage, and they've just gotten better and better as we went on. I think the game, you know, some of the games we saw from them in this stage have been phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, even towards the end of the Challenger stage, they narrowly beat Vega Squadron 2-1, narrowly beat Vici 2-1, but they got it done when it mattered. Forrest in particular.
Yes.
They touched on him on the desk. I mean, he has just been that damn good. And he's kind of had a couple of cameos here and there. We've seen moments from Rez, some excellent pistol rounds in particular. Lekros had a few performances too.
You'd hope they've gotten all the quiet performances out of their system by now. This is where you absolutely have to step up, especially against a team of this caliber against MIBR. I mean, we talk frequently about the teams that are 5-man deep. Certainly in terms of skill, MIBR is one of those as well. 5 players who could all dominate the game. The big question is, are they all going to feel comfortable? Like, this is still very early on, and yes, this lineup played together and were extremely good, and they lifted a lot of trophies years ago, 2 years ago, back in 2017. You know, it's hard to kind of rekindle that magic. We've seen some teams kind of try it, most notably Fnatic, but, you know, after the Godsent swap, not able to make it happen. So if you're MIBR at the moment, you're kind of doing something that's very, very difficult. But if you do catch that fire, if you do get that magic, if you do get everyone kind of synchronizing once again, this team can go all the way.
And I think that's why there's so many question marks and uncertainties about MIBR, because as you say, like 2 years in CS terms is almost a lifetime. That's a long time to be in other rosters. It's a long time in terms of how the meta shifted, how other teams have also adapted and became better. Like Astralis back then, nowhere near as good, or the equivalent. Liquid back then, nowhere near as good, but yet here we are. There's a lot of teams breathing down MIBR's neck as well in that sort of second rung of the top teams. You've got FaZe up there, you've got Na'Vi showing great performance.
And also, I mean, the thing to consider is MIBR, this is their first event of the year. Some of these teams have played in some officials, and they've kind of been able to warm up. I know a lot of teams have had the boot camps and everything, so did MIBR, but not having those officials, and they've touched upon it in some interviews, it's a different feeling when you have an official game, and that's kind of where you feel out what your team is going to be like under pressure and how everyone's going to respond. Either way, enough talking. Now we get to find out exactly what's happening to this Katowice crowd in the Legends stage. Look at that. It's a thing of beauty early on in the event. And we're live into the pistol run. NIP going to be starting on the offense. This T side of Train. Utility on Forest, 2 smokes, or I mean, excuse me, 1 smoke and a flash, and a smoke and Molotov on Lekro. For the MIBR side, it's no kits. It's all armor and pistols. They do not want to retake. They want to win outright.
That's why 3 players around Connector. Fast rotation to B or A as soon as some information is gathered. And they may be about to find it out as smokes are being primed for the outside hit. Phelps and Fallen both up in heaven. And they're a step ahead of this potential push. These are going to be great positions. He's going to see over the smokes and give them free reign to smack down some heads with the USPs. And so far, so good. Phelps has got himself one, but here comes Rez. He's been so good in pistol rounds throughout this event. And this could be another round to shine. Right, gets the bomb planted further. That was rough, but finally just about gets a hold of the spray and claims another headshot. Rez has got 2. He's now perched up in heaven. Now the tables have turned. He got back down to hell. There's going to be the end of Fur. Taco, in the meanwhile, comes back with one of his own, but he doesn't have a kit or nades, as we highlighted earlier. So this is going to be a very rough ask in terms of a defuse, and Forrest is not going to let it happen. A solid round by the Ninjas in Pajamas.
There were so many crossfires set up by MIBR. When you look at that stack initially, you just say this is going to be really, really rough for NIP, and it still could have been, but the smokes did a phenomenal job of neutralizing those. 1 smoke in towards Connector meant NIP Rez could just jump past it. There was a player in there that couldn't see anything, and he could get up that ladder. He could find the kill at the base and climb up and have a great perch for the ensuing battle. That T-side pistol round can be so important, and NIP have it under the belt. They have it behind him, and they have a 1-0 lead.
straight in to a timeout from Ninjas in Pajamas. In the meanwhile, MIBR will be forced by.
This is a wild time to use a timeout. I almost thought it was going to be a tech.
As did I. Second round, but I guess, you know, you're on the T side of train. It's your pick of map. You want to start things off as well as possible.
You really do want to convert these things. And, you know, it's interesting. It's not really the new economy change, but that change to the economy and how these rounds kind of work. Now that we've had some time with it, when it initially came out, teams were just full saving in this second round. Most of them were. And going into a third round with a pretty strong buy. Teams have gone back now realizing, you know, the extra utility you can have in a second round is a thing of beauty. We're seeing a lot of teams invest in these now. Pretty much everyone at this major.
Yeah, at first there was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, saying, oh, the randomness is going to be spiked, but it also brings a lot more entertainment. A lot more rounds where crazy things can happen.
Entertainment is always good.
It is. And with MIBR having MP9 in the hands of both Taco, Phelps, couple scouts, Deagle, the Ninjas can't take this for granted. Some nade damage across the forest.
Yeah, it's not bad. Soften him up for the scout.
Molotov going to be used just to draw out Fallen's position, so he can't really capitalize on that grenade for the time being. Now, we've seen some magic plays by Coldzera in the past with the Desert Eagle. He is in a position to perforate some heads if they push on A main, but elsewhere Ivy is being engaged. This draws his attention elsewhere. Now A main is going to push in. They've got so much ground already covered. Here comes Coldzera with the Desert Eagle. He's picked up 2, make it 3, and he's still somehow alive. This is another player, that another body they're going to have to deal with, and in doing so it draws out Taco and Fur into the open. 30 seconds to stall this bomb plan. Both Forest and Lecro are low. Make it dead for Forest, and now Lecro's going to somehow try and pull off this 1v2 clutch. Long-range UMP is not going to help him out. He does have the bomb just to his right-hand side, but Fur's going to claim the frag, and Coldzera, you can see how pumped up he is.
Yeah, he is fired up. That is a brilliant performance from him. So tough to make this work, but he wraps around. Great mobility, great reading of the play. Phelps had called out 1 in ladder room, and he spins immediately knowing what the response is. A beautiful triple kill. He had no one to distract for him either. We're all tied up, and not only do NIP lose that round, they lose a timeout that they use to avoid that calamity.
Well, if you're on the fence about how exciting this game would be, the first 2 rounds have shown us a few things.
Yeah, we're off to a great start, aren't we?
Now it's the Swedes' turn to force buy. Nowhere near as strong as MIBR's was, just a scout and Deagles. But it was the Desert Eagle that was really the linchpin. That's where everything fell into place.
Oh! Taco. He presented his skull, and it's taken away from him. Yeah, I mean, the scout tags that Fallen got over towards Ivy eventually became a big factor towards the end. You could see those last 2 players just like limping and laboring with no HP and taking fights that they had to, but with the HP, they didn't necessarily want to. We'll see what NIP can do with this pick. Still plenty of time, so you're seeing a boost up over in these box halls to allow get right time. Hopefully, someone on the rotation is caught snoozing. Not going to happen at the moment. 4 Deagles and a scout. There's a smoke and Molotov on Lecro. They're going to start making their way over towards the inner bomb site. They've got to walk, though. Fallen is close. He can gather information if they hear a footstep. So can Phelps. And now they have the read. Look at this rotation. A good scout tag onto Fur, but Coldzera's here. Coldzera has the MP9, and that's going to be close up on Bomb Train, and he can bide his time if they don't clear this out properly, which they might be distracted from doing. Phelps is going to have a very fast rotation. Lecro will be flanking when this hit eventually comes in.
Will he be able to have enough impact, though? He needs the rest of his team to at least do something on the other side of the map. Otherwise, he's going to get caught in transition, and it's going to be Fur up close with the Org and the freest of kills. Here comes Coldzera. Oh, that spray transfer was majestic, but it's not going to be enough to stop the bomb from being planted. So MIBR still have some work to do now. The MP9 is going to trade hands. Rez goes in for 1, but Phelps going to make his presence known with the UMP. MIBR continue their winning ways.
Very costly for them, though, and Phelps is going to... there's kits plenty, so Phelps can go hunt down an AUG or some kind of a rifle so he can have a better piece of weaponry. Nice round, even Fur being pulled back by the footsteps from Lecro. I'm surprised he actually made that noise. You probably assumed they were pretty dedicated, no one would be in CT to hear it. But at least it pulled Fur away so that they could get access into the site, get that kill on the one defender, coldzera, close up, even though he got a double, get that bomb planted. So, pretty decent round overall for NIP. They can reinvest some of that cash into this to try and get a couple more kills, but they're going to have to wait till round 5 to really have a dangerous investment.
It's the small kind of changes that the org coming back into the meta really makes. I mean, typically in the second or third round buy, you're going to have MP9s, maybe an M4. You typically want to play closer range. Org, you can definitely make the most of it from the backside of the train. And it was the org that ended up cancelling him on the rotation, so it may have caught him off guard. Either way, into round 4, the Ninjas in Pyjamas, I was going to say have Reyes in A main, but he has been eviscerated by Fallen's up. There's no nades in the hands of the Swedes either, so it's going to have to be raw entries with these Desert Eagles, you have to feel.
Chance, Taco, once again presenting the opportunity. He had to sit out the previous round thanks to a nice headshot by GetRight. And yeah, still spread across the map. Forest in T-mid, Lekro towards Ivy. Forest is going to go down to the op, so they know that's in play. Actually, if they already knew that, Fallen got the opening kill. Lekro now, waiting for a peek. MIBR's content just to let them stall out, though. More than happy to play this round timer and use that as an extra teammate.
Especially considering that their finances still haven't fully recovered. Losing any players here is going to sting for MIBR. They want to get this flawlessly. They're not going to take any chances. The two terrorists could not be more isolated. Opposite sides of the spectrum, opposite sides of the map.
GetRight's just hoping Lekro gets one kill to pull Fur back. At most, he could have, or maybe at best, he would have a one-on-one duel top. That's going to happen. That P250 is going to get nothing done. 3-1 for MIBR. They lost the pistol, but recovered immediately afterwards, and that's scary. We saw how hyped coldzera was. Now you have Fallen smiling and laughing. Let's see how the rest of this half goes, but MIBR's done a great job. Outside of that third round, not even really taking a whole lot of damage.
Especially considering that they conceded the pistol round. It has been 3 rounds back-to-back after losing the pistol. So, a lot of reason to be smiling and enjoying things at the time being, but the Ninjas can easily turn that around, Moses, if they just put a couple of rounds together. And the smiles may start to turn into grimaces. The nade damage, though, is brutal. GetRight and Lekro already close to their demise. Taco didn't see the player crossing. It's Lekro, who even with 31 health is able to rummage together a kill. Fur flashbang consistently. He's going to have to stay in position. Wild spray while blind will yield another frag from Lekro. And the only player to bounce back is Phelps. That's not going to be enough for MIBR. They need to start putting some kills together. Fallen with his orb. Oh, the timing on that weapon switch could not have been worse.
Exactly what the desk talked about. Win condition for NIP. Try and abuse Taco early on and see how it works. They've done that with GetRight in the third round. And they've done it again in this first gun round. Able to get past him, even though there was massive, you're right, massive nade damage and even running through the Molotov. That first kill was so important with that kind of HP. If Taco gets that, may be able to get a second, but if he just stays alive, the rotations are much more impactful and they can just mow down a couple easy players. Lekro's loving that life. Even here, Fur, the spray, giving away how helpless he was. Flashbang catches him in the face. Some early exchanges in round 6. A labored 5 from MIBR, but this position from Fallen could just do it. Takes a shot when he gets blind and just backs away.
So Ninjas in Pyjamas do have the advantages in terms of weaponry.
Every time Fallen's gotten a new position, he's got hit with a flashbang, so he's not having any fun. Drops off the train just for safety, but gets back up immediately.
I suppose the good news is there haven't been really pushes behind it yet, so it's flashbangs for naught. 3-player stack from the T's on Ivy going to start to make a move. If they slow peek this, Fallen will be in the money. He'll be in the thick of it. Forrest going to proceed the push. Or perhaps not. I thought maybe he'd go out first, but they are really waiting in position, hoping that one of MIBR go for a peek. Here we go. Smoke going to go down. Was there a Molotov? Did that just extinguish out in the open? Did that just destroy the terrorists in transition there? Fur from the side with the MP9 is going to strike alongside Fallen. And this push has been repelled. Completely squashed. Bomb drop, only Rez remains. He has 30 seconds to try and pull the rabbit out the hat, but It feels that hand is going to get slapped away. Nearly a second, third tag down to 51. But now his position is known. MIBR can lay in wait. Ferg peeks one too many times. Overstays his welcome. The downside now for Rez, though, is the bomb is dropped just outside of Ivy, and in going there, there's so many angles for him to watch out for. If he picks up the bomb, he's a dead man from Coldzera.
You just saw, I mean, the Deaths did a great job of setting this up, because I'm going to reference what they said again. Pimp taking the mantle of MIBR in Alex's little game show said Fallen needs, you know, we need to see that old Fallen with the AWP. This is a map where he's been able to keep up that level relatively well compared to others. He's so good in this outer train yard, because one of the things he's probably the best at as an AWPer is using his movement between shots to really keep himself safe, isolate his opponents, so it's very difficult to trade him on train. He's so good at maneuvering. We saw a flash of it there in that round. Damage done by Rez is pretty nice at the end in a losing effort. Still have MIBR low on economy, and NIP wants to be aggressive. Dennis is already out. Fallen has spotted another one dropping over. Hasn't gotten a clean shot just yet, but he's looking for it now. He backs away. NIP going to progress. Phelps, first point of contact. He goes down. He's traded by Rez. Coldzera is responding as well, doing a boost, and so is Fur. Oh, this hurts. NIP do get the bomb planted, but at what cost?
So many of these duels just going the way of the Brazilians. NIP are getting into position, but they're losing out on the trades. Lecro UMP nearly doubles up. Fur in midair was vulnerable. This time Rez in a 1-on-3, but it's post-plant. The CTs have to move into his crosshairs. Can he go massive once again? He's got a Molotov and a smoke. Top
planted for this. He can't win this. He's going to be forced out, and even though he gets that kill, Fur does enough damage to let the fire finish him off. 5-2, but still, you have to think NIP is going to keep up this kind of pressure. MIBR is so close to getting reset. They haven't been able to build up anything. Fallen played that round without armor.
The downside here, Moses, though, is if NIP go in for another buy, they've already got 2 players that can get AKs.
It's a question of how aggressive you want your game plan to be, because if you're NIP and you keep buying and you keep having these investments and keep pressuring them, if you don't ever win it, then it just becomes a disaster, because you don't have the strongest buy possible. You're playing that economy game, that tug of war. So this one they are going to sit out. I think they were a little bit uninspired by the number of AKs they could bring out, which I think was only maybe 2.
Yeah. 4,100 and 3,900. Everyone else, about $3,000. So it would have been a very poor buy. At least with this half buy, it does afford them still some threat and a Molotov, plus the buy on the horizon in round 9. Oh, that's the perfect way to start. Fur on box halls, able to do damage. If he walks into this deagle, though, things could get spicy. However, he holds the line, hasn't lost any health, could go in and spray down the rest, decides to just back away. He knows Phelps is now watching his back. Well played by Fur. And Phelps going to clean up the rest. Can Dennis maybe regain, I was going to say, the mantle of Pistol God, because he's been quite mortal recently with the pistols.
Yeah, he has been, hasn't he?
But that's a big no.
Good round for MIBR, only losing Taco. But NIP surely has to sense some weakness at that inner bomb site. They've been able to find that pick a couple times. They've been able to get into that site and plant at the very least. And if this isn't a stack, if Fur isn't there, this round likely goes his way. If Rez hits a second stunning shot, they might actually win that one. Either way, it doesn't happen. And even though you sense weakness there, NIP experienced enough to realize you eventually have to have success outside to really be able to exploit that. Those hits haven't been successful. Taco gets aggressive. Coldzera's here again. So they heard the aggression up lower ramp, but they're going to expect the AWP. There's the Molotov. Coldzera deciding not to stand in the flames, not trying to get a shot, but he is sticking around for when it disappears. Oh, right at the end of the Molotov, and he's found it. Beautiful, beautiful play from Coldzera. The Molotov to cover his retreat, and an opening kill for MIBR.
The audacity to go for that peek, knowing there must be multiple players in Boxhole, is unbelievable, showing the confidence.
It's so cool as well, because normally if you're NIP, you're expecting an opera to maybe stand in the Molotov when you throw it, not kind of peek into the last second or two of the Molotov. It's the same concept, just at different timings.
And for future rounds, that now puts doubt in the back of NIP's heads too.
Look how trapped they are as well. Fur and Phelps both in ladder room. 2 players on the flank, that'll never be expected, and you won't even have the manpower. You're already missing 1 player. You're going to lose at least 1 more than likely on this entrance. You won't have anyone to kind of cover that flank. Taco chimes in and forces Lecro to...
Team.
Yeah, they are.
And they've got an all-star coach as well in Zeus.
They do. I mean, one of the most successful coaches in Counter-Strike history. 2 majors. He